Hey guys, hope you're doing well. This is Emmanuel. I wanted to get on my headset. Maybe you might hear me clear. I want to make sure that my voice is as clear as possible for you guys who are driving in your car or listening to me. Maybe this might be clear for you guys. Let me know if it is. Send me a comment. Say, hey, I like the headphones better, and we'll just keep doing that. And anyway, so I want to continue here. We are reading this book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. If you haven't got it yet, definitely order it. It's on Amazon, has been released since the beginning of May. Hey, and Andrea, how you doing? And so yeah, feel free to comment below. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I would love to connect with you. Find me on Facebook under my name, or you can go to my practice page, Compass Healing. Anyway, so The Emotion Code by Dr. Brad. I'm reading it like 5 pages at a time, and just to see if we can add some input to it. Obviously, again, I've been doing this for about 4 years, and I just want to see if I can add something here and help you guys out. And so, all right, and then we can read together, right? Andrea, right? Sylvia. Oh, and hey, Chrissy, how's it going? Glad you're here. All right, so let's see here. So we got some cool fans of this book. Some of you guys have already read ahead. I think Chrissy has read ahead a little bit. I could be wrong, but you want to definitely, if you want to follow along, kind of go back and read with me. Then we can have more fun, and maybe I can add some input and help you out. So here we go. So I believe we left off on page 10. We talked about Mark the singer, which I can relate with because I'm a singer too. So I definitely appreciate that story about how he did very well in the studio. And so, okay, so here we go. The damage trapped emotions cause. We're on page 11. So the top of page 11, here we go. So the trapped emotions can cause you to make the wrong assumptions, overreact to innocent remarks, misinterpret behavior, and short circuit your relationships. Well, that doesn't sound fun. Even worse, trapped emotions can create depression, anxiety, and other wanted feelings that you can't seem to shake. They can interfere with the proper function of your body's organs and tissues, wreaking havoc with your physical health, causing pain, fatigue, and illness. Yet, no matter how great your suffering may be, the invisible energy of trapped emotions will remain undiagnosed by conventional medicine, even though it may be a major causative factor in your physical and emotional difficulties. So, I wanted to share with you guys something real quick. For those of you who don't know, my parents were actually both oncologists. My mother was a lot more open. So, I guess this is a side note from Emmanuel. So, you guys are not thinking this is the book. Side note from Emmanuel. Okay, so my mother and father were both oncologists. My mother was a lot more into holistic health. She was into Chinese acupuncture. She went to Chinese acupuncture conferences. And especially the last 10 years when she retired early from Kaiser, because she was bringing in holistic methods. And let's just say Kaiser wasn't a big fan of it. And so she got a lot of pressure from her friends that are very orthodox, the way this is the way you do medicine, Maria. You don't do this. And for some reason we don't know, well, you guys probably know, she got more customers or more patients. They were hearing about how great my mom was because she went out of her way to help them out. I mean, I would come home sometimes and I would see urine samples everywhere, and I was like, "What's like? You're a urine analysis now? Like what are you doing here?" And she said, "I'm checking out their pH levels because if their pH levels are very acidic, then they're going to create the perfect home to to have a relapse on cancer again, and I don't want them coming back. So their diet, their lifestyle, their emotional health matters." And he says, "Emmanuel, never forget, healing's great, but wellness, it's all about wellness." And I remember it really vivid in my mind that what we're talking about here is how we can take care of our overall wellness. It really matters. And so it says here, to eliminate any kind of problem that has to do with your health or well-being, the underlying causes of the problem must be addressed. There are many powerful drugs that can relieve the symptoms of pain or disease, but when the drugs wear off, the symptoms often return because the underlying cause of the disease have not been dealt with. And just a little side note too, I think one of the major things that I've seen with my clients is that the big thing when they're taking in some type of drug for anxiety or depression is they actually say this word a lot. It's very common. Maybe you've heard it too as a practitioner. Is the word numb? You know, like and so A great question. First of all, Shakti Shaker, I don't know if I said that right. You had a quick question. I don't mind answering it for you real quick. The emotion code and body code, we recommend people to do the emotion code first and then do the body code. Now, in the body code, there's different graphs in there. And so all we're doing is we're sort of muscle testing, whichever way you muscle test. And we go through the graphs. And literally, it's the same way you release a trapped emotion, you would release an energy, which is swiping on the governing meridian, which you can just do from here all the way to the back of your head. You don't even have to touch your head. You can even kind of just swipe over it. And that would also release that energy. Obviously, if there's anything inherited, which you'll notice that in the body code, there's a lot of things that can be inherited, like an inherited, what they call psychic trauma, or an inherited emotional resonance energies. Those are all body code. Terminologies, and if they're inherited, it's 10, and then if you just regularly release it, it's 3. And so it's a really simple process. And by the way, there's a lot more systems coming out. There's the belief code that's coming out very soon, probably in December of 2019. So Dr. Brad and the whole Discover Healing team have a bunch of new information, new training is coming out, and it's going to just blow out there around December 2019, which is going to be exciting because, again, Dr. Brad is like, he believes that this system, the body code system, is the most complete healing system on the planet. The reason why I like his system is because a lot of energy healing out there tends to kind of scoop off the top of the weed and goes, okay, let's just take this off here. And they wonder why their client the next month has the same symptom, is because whatever's below it is what slowly is kind of like created the weed again. And with the body code, because it's so like there's 250 hyperlinks, I mean, that's a really intense system. You would say, is there a reason why you have this? Or is there an underlying cause? And then you would go, oh, there it is. Is there another underlying cause? Oh, there it is again. So you're sometimes going 3 to 4 to 5 levels deep in the body code. And then you just basically do what they call the domino effect. You release everything below it, so that way the top symptom goes away, and then it can't regrow again. That causes long-term healing. So that's why I love the body code, is that most energy healing, it tends to scoop off the top. Body code doesn't. It keeps asking the question of, why do you have that? And you have to say the right terminology to be able to release something. For example, what if you have this image, let's say you have this image of yourself because you have a memory field of something, so image is like you have a picture in your mind stuck there. It's actually an actual energy. And below that, you have a memory field, which is like all these memories they're supposed to be behind you, like a cloud behind you, but now it's in front of your eyes. And it's either, and so you have that kind of sitting there that created the image. And then below that memory field, you have a preconception trapped emotion, and so that's what's kind of interesting, is preconception trapped emotion is something that you received in the spirit body even before you were born. And that could be 300, 700, 900 years old while you were being a guardian to a family member. So imagine all that's the preconception, created the memory field, which created the image. Then you release all those two, and then the third one, and then that's where you receive the full totality of healing. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's why I love I love that question. That's my favorite question to ask in the body code, is what's the underlying cause of this? Or, and then just kind of try to hit rock bottom, hit the root problem, and then just start flicking it from below. Anyway, back to this. We're talking about most people, I've noticed, when they take depression pills or anxiety pills or things like that, there's very powerful drugs that can suppress certain things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't remove the energy or the actual imbalance. In this case, with, like, for example, depression or anxiety, most people feel, again, numb, or they feel like they're not feeling like themselves. So it's kind of like you become sort of robotic in some way. And it almost feels like they're like, I feel like I didn't have a soul. Like that's kind of like the same description I get from people. And it's kind of like, numbing them, which doesn't make them feel like themselves, which then makes them more depressed because they want to feel. That's what they do want to feel. Not the feeling of depression, obviously, but their other feelings. Usually it's a heart wall issue. And that's kind of where I usually start off with someone who has depression and anxiety. Anyway, great questions, by the way, and appreciate your questions. So the next thing is, it is important for you to recognize and remove your own trapped emotions before they cause more damage. You can live a much better life by getting rid of them. This book exposes the truth that trapped emotions are a significant yet hidden cause of much illness and suffering, both emotional and physical in nature. All right, so time heals all wounds, perhaps not. Dot dot dot. Okay, and we've heard that saying before. Time heals all wounds. You've probably heard it and said that time heals all wounds, but this is not necessarily true. You may think you have let it go of all your emotional pain from prior relationships, and maybe you've had therapy to deal with it. It may seem like it's all behind you now, but your body may be literally be inhabited by the invisible energies of old emotions. These are wounds that time alone cannot and will not heal. They can influence the way you act and feel in your current relationships. It may even cause you to sabotage them. In fact, the longer a trapped emotion remains in your body, the more likely it is to create emotional and physical pain for you. And I also noticed too, just a side note, the more trapped, let's say you have three trapped emotions of anger, it may be easier for you to be angry. And then if it's easy for you to be angry, you might create another trapped emotion of anger. You see how that works? So it's kind of like, let's say you had 47 trapped emotions of anger in your body total. The less you have of that, like let's say 47 to 30 to 20 to 10, the next time you feel anger, you'll start noticing that instead of dwelling it for a very long time in that emotion, it kind of bounces off you. Or the good news, maybe it may bypass you. And so that's why I tell people, like, the more you do the emotion code, it's kind of like before someone would throw a tennis ball at you, boom, it hits you, you know? The way I see it is like when the more you do the emotion code, that tennis ball kind of flies right to you, and you're like, and it either lightly touches you, like, you know, just kind of bounces off you, or you have the ability to be like, oh my gosh, I could feel anger right now, but nah. And then you just kind of it bypasses you. And you'll notice that it's like you have more of a choice. You don't just automatically fall into the water. It's like you have that choice to be like, it's also like slowing down the tennis ball and saying, whoa, 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 I could get angry now, but for some reason I don't have that urge or that the energy that's going to back that up. So nah. Obviously, you don't have to go through all that mental thinking. It's automatic. And so a lot of people tell me when I start working with them, I'm feeling less reactive, feeling less reactive. What does that mean? It means you're becoming more what? Productive. And if you're more productive, then you're doing what? More service. And if you're doing more service, you're probably happier. You see? So anyway, back to the book. So let's see. They can. Okay, so here we go. So we're on page 12 now. It says, when a trapped emotion is released, a burden is literally lifted. In fact, people often experience a feeling of lightness upon the release of a trapped emotion. Finding and releasing these trapped emotion energies can lead to a big change in how you feel and behave, in the choices you make, and the results you get. Most of the time, that newfound freedom and confidence start to flow in automatically. And so, yeah, it's very common. If you've worked with me before, I've probably said at some point to you, hey, do you feel more relaxed? Do you feel more calm? And that's a very typical feeling that people feel as they release their trapped emotions. And it's kind of cool. I call it myself the melatonin effect. You know, I like that. You know, it's like this really calm, relaxed feeling. And I told my clients that that's the only thing you could be addicted to. Nothing else in this world is that feeling of being calm and relaxed, which means you're healing, and we're all overdue for it. Anyway, this is Jay's breakthrough. Back to the book. My 17-year-old son, Jay, suffers from autism. He's very shy, quiet, previously wouldn't even answer the phone. Since having emotion code sessions, he has come out of his shell more and more. We went to his spring concert where his teacher chose him to perform the solo for the finale. He got up on stage and sang alone in front of hundreds of people. Wow. My daughter and I sat and watched amazed. We were holding on to each other and we both had tears running down our faces as we watched. Yes, he was nervous, but he did it. 1 year ago, this would have been unthinkable. He has opened up so much in the last few weeks. I've tried to explain the therapy to him, and he doesn't understand it, but it has had an amazing impact on him. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to experience the emotion code by Rochelle T. Okay, so now we're on page 12 in the middle. It says, seeing the impossible happen. I wanted to share the story of one of my clients. He's a 6-year-old boy who was adopted internationally. He only weighs about 30 pounds, looks like he's 2 or 3 years old, and his cognitive development tests via mainstream testing at around 16 months. He received nothing but water during his first month of life. He barely interacted with those around him or with his environment and had no verbal skills. I've been working with him to help restore balance using naturopathic methods. His mother contacted me to say he had suddenly begun crying for 2 to 3 hours every morning. I asked permission to do an emotion code session on him, and she readily agreed. After a single session, he stopped having the crying jags immediately and never had one after that. His parents shared that he smiled more, seemed much more at ease at all times of the day. We've continued the emotion code sessions, have seen amazing results, for which we praise God. The little boy began interacting with his family in ways he had never before, now responds with appropriate actions when asked questions or given directions, and has actually begun trying to verbalize different things. Those are the big changes. But he has had multiple other beneficial results from the emotion code. His parents had been told none of his advancements were possible, but we know that they obviously are. But using it as a tool that allows miracles to occur is a huge blessing in my life. I'm so thankful for the gift of the emotion code. Dr. Pamela R. Okay, great testimonial. All right, so the emotion code is about clearing away the baggage so that you can be who you really are inside. That's kind of cool if you think about it. I want to add a little side note on there. I love one of the questions that was asked to Dr. Brad. He said, someone asked him, and I was at a conference with him, someone asked him, hey, Dr. Brad, do you have to, if I release something negative, like a negative energy from you, don't we have to put something positive, like replace the negative and add something positive? And I love how he answered this. Was in a question and answer session at the end of the conference, and he says, the way it works is this: picture the negative energy like a black energy, okay, and it's covering us, which is a light being, a being full of light, just fullness of light. He said, when you remove this negativity, do you have to add light to light? So he just says, you don't. You just have to allow the light to shine. And I remember what a powerful statement that was. And I'll always remember that you don't have to add light to light. It's like just by removing the negativity, the light goes brighter. And so anyway, that's a really cool insight from Dr. Brad. Anyway, so let's keep going here. So trapped emotions and physical pain. In addition to obvious emotional pain, millions of people are suffering from physical aches and pains. And many times there are unseen trapped emotional energies. Hey, Saria, how are you? And many times there are unseen trapped emotional energies that contribute to or create physical pain. The next example illustrates how trapped emotions can exert an astonishingly powerful influence over the physical body. So for those of you who are new to the emotion code, I would definitely look into getting a body code practitioner. And it really doesn't matter where they are. Like, see, I work with people all over the world, and just go with someone that resonates with you, you know? And what's interesting is, like, I think one of the most important things you could bring to a body code practitioner when you first get started, with the first time you meet with someone, is pain. Now, you may not be dealing with pain, but if you kind of move around, move your shoulders, move your neck, trust me, there's some area where you wouldn't mind having some type of your partner give you a massage. That's kind of where I go first, because to me, what's interesting is the client's digital clock, like the subconscious digital clock, knows exactly when it's going to meet with a practitioner. So what it does sometimes I've met with clients where they say, you know what, I've been having a middle back pain that I never get for some reason, and so I want to tell you that it's around a 3 or a 4. You know, I don't know if you can work on that. So why does this middle back pain just show up out of nowhere? See, the body knows. It goes, look, if I give her pain in some random area and she's vocal about it, she'll tell the practitioner, and the practitioner will work on that. But it's not really the pain that the body wants to address. It's actually the emotional baggage that the body's like, can we please release this? This really, in whatever situation she's going through right now, is bothering me. If she's maybe dealing with someone who's a very abusive relationship, whatever, maybe the body's like, I need to release this from an old relationship that will help this new one out, so she can like really think more clear in this new one. And so I'm going to give her middle back pain, just kind of stab that back. Ow, it hurts. Okay. And then all of a sudden I start releasing these trapped emotions, and she's like, oh, this is my last relationship, all this stuff from my last stuff. And anyway, I just think it's a very good way to kind of get an introduction with the emotion code or body code, is just say, I'd like to work on this pain. I'd like to work on this tension, and see what you find. And then obviously tension and pain is very measurable. You know, depression is not, anxiety is not. I mean, you can, but it may take weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where you might noticing some significant differences. Pain, though, it can just drop in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then you're like, whoa, I feel a lot better in that area. And I could see why these emotions cause it to physical issues. Okay, so let's keep going here. Okay, so trapped emotions. Okay, we looked at that. Debbie's broken heart. Debbie has had been a patient of mine for a year or so when she came into my office one day complaining of what she thought might be the symptoms of a heart attack. She had chest pain and difficulty breathing. Her left arm was completely numb, as was the left side of her face. She said her condition had been gradually getting worse for about 24 hours. I immediately had her lie down and put my staff on alert that we might need medical assistance. After checking her vital signs and finding them to be normal, I tested her body to see if these symptoms were being caused by a trapped emotion. The answer her body gave was yes. I continued to test Debbie and quickly determined that the trapped emotion was heartache. A little more testing revealed that this emotion had become trapped in her body 3 years earlier. At this point, she burst into tears and exclaimed, I thought I'd dealt with all this in therapy. I can't believe this is showing up now. She explained to me 3 years before her husband had an affair. The news had been devastating to her. It had destroyed her marriage and wrecked her life for a while, but she gradually come to terms with it. She had cried a lot of tears, spent a year in therapy, gotten remarried, and moved on, or so she thought. I always like to say that when two people are getting married. Well, Dr. Brad said this, but then like I add this. Like Dr. Brad says, on a side note, guys, Dr. Brad said that love nowadays is two people looking at each other's luggages and say, "Hey, you have a nice luggage over there. Hey, you have a nice luggage too. Hey, let's get married." So it's like because like attracts like, we're kind of syncing with people that have similar baggage. And trust me, if you're in some really bad situation with a relationship, you're complaining about his skeletons. There's skeletons in your closet too, and those two skeletons are dancing together. So obviously your goal would be to remove more and more baggage, and that luggage gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you attract someone that has what? Small luggage as well. Less drama in the home, less contention in the home because you guys aren't coming both armed into a very beautiful white house, shooting each other with machine guns. Instead of doing that, leave the guns outside. That way you guys can have a very peaceful white house. And anyway, so she said here, Debbie expressed surprise that her past heartache was still affecting her in such a dramatic way. How could this event be the source of her physical pain when she had gone to such lengths to deal with it already? She had done all the things we're told to do. She cried, expressed her feelings, sought the comfort of friends and the advice of therapists, opened a dialogue with her now ex husband, and reconciled herself to the fact of her divorce. It had not been easy, and she made a lot of important progress. In her mind, she dealt with it and put it behind her. What she didn't see is what none of us can see. There was a physical effect from her experience that was silent and invisible until she began to manifest symptoms from it. She had dealt with her troubles in every way but one. She was suffering from a trapped emotion. I released the trapped heartache from her body, and within seconds, the feeling came back into her arm and into her face. Suddenly, she could breathe freely, and the chest pain and heaviness were gone. She left the office shortly after, feeling completely fine. The overwhelming heartache that she had felt during the early days of her breakup had literally become trapped in her physical body. The instantaneous relief of her physical symptoms was astounding to me because the concept of trapped emotions was still new to me at the time. I was left to ponder the mechanism that was at work here. How could a single trapped emotion cause such extreme physical symptoms? Debbie's experience is a dramatic example of how trapped emotions can affect us physically, and how traditional therapy cannot and does not accept to remove them, although traditional therapy certainly has its benefits. Typically, trapped emotions will not cause symptoms as intense as the ones Debbie experienced. Most are more subtle, yet they exert an imbalancing influence on both mind and body. All right, so we're just gonna end right there. I just want to let you guys know. Thank you guys for paying attention and reading with me. And this is an amazing book. Obviously, can you go ahead in this book? Yeah, go ahead and just start diving in here. But I want to, like I said, maybe I can add some input, maybe add some insight to you for those who are practitioners, or for those of you who are brand new to the emotion code and you have like, I have no idea. There's a couple type of people that look into this. There's some people that I meet that like, man, I've been through self-development seminars, Tony Robbins, I've done NLP, I've done EFT, all this different stuff. And they're like, I still feel what? What's the magic word, guys? You guys know? It's stuck, right? They still feel stuck. Something is holding them back. And that's because they tend to work on the tip of the iceberg. They're just cutting the tip of the iceberg. But the lower part, they haven't really touched yet. If you look at that ugly photo of that whole iceberg and then the main body, like Titanic sized thing down there is the subconscious. That's what's really holding us back, that huge mountain below. And that's what the body code and the emotion code go into, is what, let's chip away at the bottom part of that iceberg. And is there any coincidence that Dr. Brad met Tony Robbins? No, Tony Robbins and Dr. Brad are the fullness of the iceberg. The iceberg, the top, Tony Robbins, he owns that. That he can do a very amazing job on like how to filter things and think of things and NLP things. He's very good at that. Tip of the iceberg is getting shook up by Tony Robbins. The thing that's shaking the bottom half is Dr. Brad. So you see, so it's an amazing kind of like the two worlds combined right here. This is what I see is the two worlds combined, and the beauty that's going to come out of this is that no one knows Dr. Brad as much. So and Tony Robbins has the notoriety. Dr. Brad is becoming sort of like the same notoriety. One day we'll have the same exact notoriety as Tony Robbins or more. You never know. And so this is a really great time in energy healing history. And some people don't see it, but I know us who are reading this book, you're way, way ahead of your time. I'm always talking to little kids, and they're 13, 15 years old, 14, and I love working with kids because, if I can just chip away at them and help them out, it'll make a huge difference in the future. They don't have to deal with all the problems we had to go through. So I always like telling them, like, hey, you have no idea how much your mom loves you. Like, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else. Like, you're going to somehow get the right job, and you're not going to have so much drama in your relationship, and you're going to have insight to your mission earlier. You have no idea. Like, later on, maybe 10 years from now, people are like, yeah, you cleared your heart wall? Yeah, I cleared my heart wall. Oh, you cleared? It's like, yeah, who doesn't clear their heart wall? That may be the conversations in the future. But now it's like, heart wall, what's that? You talk to 10 people, what's a heart wall? But if I were to muscle test them, their arm would test positive. But anyway, with that, you guys are amazing. I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining in. Feel free to share these videos if you have a Facebook group where you do energy healing, or maybe on your wall if you want to get people to get interested in this work. And also if you're new, you can always do a free session with me. I always offer a free session. So for people that are brand new, I'll leave the link below. But it's basically www.compasshealing.as.me. But I'll put it below later on, or you can look at some of my old videos. They have it there. But take care, guys. Remember, I always end with this, that the world has this false notion where I'll take care of you if you take care of me. But if we just take care of ourselves, then we can authentically take care of others. And as we take care of ourselves, we can change our home, we can change our city, we can change the country, and we can change the world. So with that, love you guys, take care, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.